I put out a video not too long ago about everyday items that I constantly see men getting wrong. And let's just say that more than a few of you had an issue with my views on white socks. And I feel that another area where a lot of guys drop the ball is with their accessories, especially their jewelry. And I thought it was about time I helped you fix them once and for all. First up, I've said it a bajillion times before, but I believe that every guy needs at least one good watch. However, a lot of guys out there seem to mistake good for big. And yes, I am referring to you, Conor McGregor. A big blingy watch just screams insecurity, and this can be a major red flag for women. I mean, you might as well go full Flava Flav and start wearing a clock on a chain around your neck while you're at it. Instead, go for a classic design that subtly reflects your personality, but definitely avoid going overly cartoony with the design, unless you're on your way to Comic-Con. Also, smartwatches. Personally, I'm not a fan. To me, they just lack the timeless, pun very much intended, style that a classic watch has, and they can really sync an otherwise perfect outfit. Next up, we have another essential accessory that every guy needs, but so many get wrong: your belt. Now, I know what you're thinking. How exactly can I mess up wearing a belt? Well, the most common error I see guys making is going for a design that's too eye-catching or gaudy. Accessories are meant to complement your appearance, not draw attention to one specific area of your body. And when you go for a distracting pattern or a tacky fabric like snakeskin, it will completely overshadow whatever other items you pair it with. Instead, go for a classic full-grain leather casual belt or dress belt, depending on your outfit. And before you ask about buckles, you should just avoid them altogether, especially if they're big, square, monogrammed, or double as a bottle opener. Next up, we have a super popular jewelry option that a lot of men screw up by, once again, opting for a more is more approach. And that is a chain or necklace. So for guys, rocking a chain sends a message, and if yours is big enough to secure a bike to a lamppost, then it's probably not a great message. Now, if you really want to wear one, then please go for a super slim version that's thin enough to fit under your shirt. Also, and this should go without saying, you should always avoid lame or outdated designs like beads, puka shells, shark teeth, and any overly decorative pendants. Never a good look. And since we're on the subject of jewelry, let's discuss the next item on my list: earrings, or pretty much any facial piercing. Now, take it from a woman. Whenever I see a hot guy with an earring or a nose ring, I think he's hot because he's just naturally attractive, not because he has a piercing. In fact, more often than not, these facial staples are just super distracting, and like your emo phase or wallet chain, they should really just be left in high school. The sexy pirate era peaked 20 years ago, guys. Next up, we have an accessory that I've touched on before that you really shouldn't be taking any liberties with: your sunglasses. So, like a lot of the pieces on this list, sunglass trends are always coming and going. Thanks, Kanye. And this really is one of those items that you really can't screw up simply by sticking to the classics. Let's face it, timeless shades like Wayfarers, Aviators, and Clubmasters, but not Oakleys, are iconic for a reason. And if you invest in the right pair, they can keep you looking stylish for years, if not decades to come. However, the same cannot be said for pattern frames, mirrored lenses, or cheap plastic designs, which really never work outside of a themed bachelor party. Instead, follow these 3 simple rules. Color-wise, stick to black, brown, or tortoiseshell. Go for a frame that complements the overall shape of your face. I've actually made a video on this, which I'll link down in the description. And unless you're blind, never wear your sunglasses inside or at night. This look really isn't as cool as you think it is. Speaking of keeping your face looking good, fellas, we need to talk about your choice of hats. So just because there are over a dozen types of hats out there, this does not give you permission to just pick whichever one takes your fancy. Like all of the items on this list, a hat is not or will ever be a substitute for a personality. The problem with a lot of the hats I see guys wearing these days is that so many of them are just super outdated. Regular beanies are fine during the colder months, but those baggy versions are straight out of a mid-2000s MTV reality show. Also, please resist the urge to align yourself with the 90s revival trend by wearing a bucket hat. You just look like a fisherman who happens to sell meth on the side. Always avoid hats made of straw, unless you're a singer-songwriter from 2009, and make sure that you steer clear of fedoras, safari flaps, and fedoras with safari flaps.
What the hell are they even talking about?
When it comes to your headgear, you guessed it, less is always more. So if in doubt, err on the side of caution and stick to a classic baseball cap, preferably with no logos or slogans on it for a stylish, non-douchey aesthetic. Taking a brief detour back to your wrist. So fellas, we really need to talk about those bracelets. I see so many guys still wearing bracelets that really should have been left in their middle school locker. I'm talking stacked beaded bracelets, I'm talking rubber bracelets with stupid slogans on them, and I'm definitely talking about those leather cuffs that you think make you look like a bad boy. Also, that germ-filled fabric wristband you got from Coachella 4 years ago, cut it off and live in the now. Now, if you do want to wear something on your wrist that's not a watch, then I always like to suggest a clean and simple metal cup, which, if chosen in a minimal design, can accent your outfits in a really stylish way. Speaking of jewelry, please be wary when rocking the next item on my list, rings. So like your bracelets, ornate or gaudy rings can be super off-putting for women, and there are rules you need to follow if you're going to try and pull one off. First of all, unless it's a wedding band, avoid gold and stick with silver as it has a much more clean aesthetic, personally. Secondly, stick to your middle or ring fingers and avoid pinky rings unless you're a member of the royal family or the Sopranos. Also, no thumb rings, ever. Finally, you always want to stick with one ring per hand as anything else just looks like you're trying way too hard. Next up, if there's any accessory that separates the men from the boys, it's got to be your wallet. And you definitely want to avoid all of the following: colorful patterns, cartoon characters, band logos, and Velcro. Instead, go for a classic leather wallet, but not one that looks like a miniature couch. If in doubt, choose a slim and minimal version like a bifold or a card case, as this will fit snugly in your front pocket without creating an uncomfortable and unsightly bulge. All right, so we have a group of accessories I'm choosing to refer to as stupid suit flair. And if you don't know what I mean, then pull up a chair, mister, because I'm about to spit some facts. When attending a formal event, your suit should very much speak for itself. Putting it simply, it shouldn't require any extra accessories to enhance its appearance. This means no tacky lapel flowers, no stupid tie bars shaped like lightsabers, and no colorful shoelaces that match the shade of your tie. Speaking of which, avoid ties that are either too big, too wide, or skinny, as these can throw off your overall appearance, and never go for matching pocket square and tie sets, as these are super lame.